Hi, I'm Caitlin and welcome to the Lit Review. Today we're going to try something a little bit different as I take you through how I set up my bullet journal for February. This is my Archer and Olive notebook with a cute little Crescent City sticker in the back. I'll try to track down the artist for you if you're interested. But just really quick, we're doing a Jurassic love theme. One of my favorite movies of all time is Jurassic Park, so I just could not resist. So obviously I don't own any of the imagery or quotations. I am giving loving homage to them. But these are the materials that I'll be using: that Jane Davenport watercolor, my Crayola watercolor crayons, or not really watercolor, but you can use them with water, my Tombow dual brush pens, and my Sakura microns. These are my favorite pens to use when I'm drawing and doodling. As you can see here, I have done a lot of the pre-sketching out in pencil, and typically what I like to do is just set that out throughout the whole journal, and then kind of keep them in as guidelines as I'm doing watercolor. I'm still pretty new to watercoloring in general, but I do think it's a lot of fun, and I'm trying to figure out what medium I like best when I do it. So you can see me here playing with the Crayola markers, and these are just the same kind that you could get at any store, like a Target or a Walmart. And so this was my first time really trying to utilize them with watercolor. And you can see I had kind of some mixed results. I thought they would spread a little bit more than they did. So this portion with the Velociraptor didn't quite turn out how I thought it was going to, but I think in the end I got to a texture and a color that I really liked. We're definitely going to be spending a bit more time on this cover page because it's the most detailed art I did for this whole bullet journal spread. And I'm going to go back and forth through both of these so I can give ink and watercolor on either side time to dry before adding more layers and texture. This is my first Archer and Olive journal. I really do like it for pen bleed through. I don't think pens bleed through as bad. You do notice with the watercolor, if I oversaturate the paper with water, that is when you start to get bleed throughs. So just be mindful of that. It's something I'm still learning the boundaries of with this paper, but I really do like what it's capable of. And I was able to do a lot of watercolor on these two pages in particular. They did warp a little bit, but that's okay. I'm all right with that because I was really just trying to go for a very specific look. Oh, you can see me there trying another texture with that green color, but still figuring it out. And to me, that's the fun of this bullet journal process, is figuring it out. And it's not that I'm the best artist. I use a lot of references when I sketch things out, so I'm not going to try to claim any of this as wholly original, but it is me looking at like multiple references and trying to do my best. But I like how all this turned out, so just some judgment, but not too much judgment, please. It's at this point that I figured out the best way to use these pens is to use a plastic surface, like the container that the Crayola markers come in, to use that as like a pad where I can kind of scribble the marker out and then use that as my watercolor medium. And then that cleans up really easy with a paper towel. So I highly recommend using that technique if you're using these Crayola markers to do watercolor. So again, just going back in, layer after layer, trying to get the shading just right. And I found with these watercolors, especially when I'm trying to add depth to an actual person, the multiple layer approach is best to get the way shadows fall on skin. I'm still working on all of that and what good actually looks like, but I feel like what I end up accomplishing with this Jeff Goldblum cover page is actually some of my best work with watercolor so far. I look forward to continuing to get better and growing as I keep playing around with watercolor. This is my favorite part. I like going in with my Sakura Micron pens, two different ones that with two different tip sizes to add, bigger detail and then some of the smaller, more delicate stuff. And I just bought like a little pack with different sizes, but I think it's really when I add this pen is when you can really see these little drawings come to life and have more depth. Just adding a lot of little dots to make the lace doily effect look a little bit more like a Velociraptor Valentine. Felt like I kept fiddling with the shadows on his clothes here because I just wasn't getting the saturation that I was totally happy with. I even go back and fix this off camera like hours later. So when I do the flip through at the very end, you'll be able to see the final product, and I swear I stopped messing with it, but I definitely went back and forth on this multiple times. I'm not convinced I got Jeff Goldblum's face entirely right, but I'm pretty proud of how this turned out. I think you can definitely tell who it's supposed to be, especially if you're a Jurassic Park fan. This is like one of my favorite movies of all time, and I just wanted to pay tribute in kind of a meme-y way. All right, moving on. We're finally done with that cover page. So I am sketching out a quick calendar and a quick note on how I think about lines throughout this entire process. So I do measure things out first with a ruler just to get the shape of things, but I actually like the way my imperfect lines look. It makes it feel more hand-drawn, more artsy to me. So I know my lines are not straight, and I'm actually 100% okay with it, but I'm just setting up a quick calendar and then doing like little egg-shaped dots so I can fill in my numbers for the month so that they look a little bit like dinosaur eggs up close. You can't really see them very well from this detail, but hopefully you can in the flip through. And then I usually just use this space to keep track of my readathons. You can see I'm participating in Medievalathon and Buzzwordathon this month. I won't be doing any vlogs for Medievalathon since it's already more than halfway done. And I had started to do it, but just kind of scrapped it when I got sick because I just really didn't have the energy. But I also, on the other page, have a bit of a social media tracker, like when and where I do my posts, and I have a little key for YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. And then I use the bottom half of that page to fill in all the challenges. If you remember from my challenge roadmap in 2021, I'm participating in a lot of different kinds of reading challenges this year. So this page is kind of like, let me know which ones I was able to check off. And the decoration for this dual page spread is a cracked dinosaur egg. To me, that's one of the most iconic moments in the film, is when they realize that the dinosaurs have defied science and began to reproduce on their own. So I always just like that little moment of terror that's actually not that scary, but that's my detail on my little dinosaur egg. Going back in and adding some footprints in the sand. I like to use a paper towel to blot and then kind of also put that in between pages as I go along so that it doesn't, any excess color doesn't spread onto the next page. But these two are really simple. I keep a media tracker every month and I just decorated it really simply with our dino colors. So I like to keep track of the movies I watched and the TV shows I watched. I'm pretty repetitive, to be honest. So a lot of the shows are rewatches or things that are similar, but it's nice to have that log so I can go back and see what I've been up to. And then on the other page, you'll see I tried to draw like the little stereo or little tape deck that they have in the film. That's not really a huge feature, but I wanted it to be era appropriate. And so this is where I keep my February playlist. I make a playlist for myself every month on Spotify, just for fun, not really any other purpose. I haven't filled that section in yet because at the time I was filming this, I hadn't made that playlist yet, but I will fill that in shortly. And then every month I like to have a page like this that is just a couple of boxes for things like packages and mail, a quick gratitude box, and then any memorable quotes. And I don't necessarily mean that in the bookish sense, I mean memorable quotes from regular life. And the video does skip over a little bit here, and the lighting may have changed too. My poor camera battery just rage quit on me, and I had to take a couple hours break while it recharged. So this is a little bit of catch up. I had it a drop shadow in that kind of jade green, dino green, and then also used that for the next page, which is my reading stats. And this is a new page for me so that I can kind of do my reading stats for you and keep it in my bullet journal. And again, I did go in and add washi tapes as we get into the weekly spreads because I just wanted to lay down a framework and some color palettes. This is how I like to do my weekly spreads, or at least that's how I like to do them right now. So each of those two columns are going to be my to-do list for regular life and work. I will add all that detail in at the end. And I like to add some washi and then do either some fun quotes from my theme of the month, which in this case obviously could not resist, life finds a way. And then I also drew the water glass from when they see the T-Rex for the first time. So just little subtle references, little things that feel thematic and appropriate and fun. And again, I really love how this turned out. I think it comes to life when I go in and add the lines for the micron. It just adds so much more depth. For that second week in February, I wanted to kind of play around a little bit more with that Jeff Goldblum reference originally. And his big thing, if you've seen the film, is chaos and chaos theory. And so I just put that straight in the middle and then also included the flare from the T-Rex scene. And a little bit about how I think about these middle portions. I like them to just be free spaces, to be art spaces if I'm feeling it, or spaces to be like a journal or a diary and just take notes on what I was thinking or feeling. If I want to doodle or draw, they really are free spaces. And so that's kind of why I keep those life and work columns off to the side. I often find that if I try to do a daily task tracker, I get really overwhelmed and it makes me anxious to see everything in a daily way. Whereas if I just have a to-do list for the week, that feels so much more manageable because I have a whole 7 days to get it done. So it just feels a little better looking at it like that. Here you can see off to the side a little bit about what I meant when I said just scribble on the plastic. You can see that on the marker case and how I just keep dipping back into that with a slightly dampened brush, and it just really helps kind of make that watercolor come to life. Again, I have done several costumes over the years, either for Halloween or for cosplay as Dr. Ellie Sattler. So this is kind of her page when she stops the car to help see the Triceratops and her iconic line, "Dinosaurs eat man, woman inherits the earth." So I kind of did a little cartoonish version of that for her with her power quote there. And then you'll notice throughout the rest of this journal, when I'm decorating with washies, I'm kind of rotating around some really similar colors and themes with these kind of cacti coming in and out as well. I didn't really have dinosaur washi, but I wanted to keep that Valentine's portion of the theme alive. So there's a lot of pink and polka dots or pink stripes, things like that. And then the other tones I just kept returning to were like pink and brown. Okay, this is the Samuel L. Jackson page, the tribute page as far as I'm concerned. It's my most subtle of all of them, but I really love it, and this is maybe where I took the most liberty by making his quote on those little candy hearts. So you'll see that quote come to life in a few, but this one is such a simple page, but I love how it turned out. Okay, and we're moving on to our last little spread here. I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do with that one dangling day, at least for how my setup here works. So for its own little day, I decided I couldn't resist the clever girl quote and to have a second go at our little velociraptor friend peeking out from behind some foliage. As much as I liked the first one, I think this second velociraptor turned out even better. And then I really like to have an empty space where I can do some art, especially if my spreads end up with like an uneven number. So I sketched out at the very end another little bit of art for a iconic quote. I feel like I've been saying iconic a lot in this video, but to me, spared no expense is just the best moment for John Hammond, as is the scene where they are just eating ice cream because the power has been turned off and they don't want to waste all of the amazing ice cream. So that is what inspired this little page here. And I just decided to put in some really nice pastels. As I was flipping back through my journal this month, I realized there were a lot of really just like green and brown and pink and purple tones throughout, and that I wanted to mirror that with this last page here. And this ice cream sundae wouldn't be complete without a little bit of chocolate syrup and a cherry. And then just like the rest of these spreads, I really think it all comes together when I go back in with my Micron pen. I'm not entirely happy with how the font on this turned out. I feel like I could have done a better job of making it bolder or easier to read, but in person it looks a lot better. And then the last thing I do is just go through and write in the life and work columns for each of my weeks. And that's it. This is our Jurassic Love, Jurassic Park spread for February. I got a huge kick out of how this turned out. I hope you did too. I have my next couple of months' themes already planned out, but please let me know any ideas down in the comments below. And as always with these, thank you for spending time with me. I hope you have a fantastic reading day. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more from me and this channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!